Hi, Bill here. I'd like to talk about opening traps involving the king file or the E file. So this can be trouble for either side, particularly if there are no pawns on the file. So there's potential rook or queen checks or on this line. Let's have a look. Okay, so here we have a fragment from the so-called copycat trap. So the white queen is lined up with the king, the knight's in the way. Any knight move will be discovered check. So it's like having two moves in a row with the knight. Knight moves attacking the queen, and even if the queen moves into the block, the knight will win the queen. So this time the discovered check will win the rook in the corner. Note that knight check's no good because the king will take it. So the knight goes to the g6 square and picks off the rook. Now, we've got two knights in the way, so the first step is, before we can use this powerful discovered check, is to kick that knight away. So we'll use the pawn, which has the best attack, chase the knight away, and now we have the crushing discovered check winning the queen. Now this time we're going to use the rook to create a pin on the file and win the queen. So now black has a loose knight. The rook moves to pin the knight to the king. It's an absolute pin, the king cannot move. So black moves up a pawn to defend it. Now white moves up his pawn and will pick off the pinned knight. So this time we've got the knights lined up. So the rook goes to the E file, hitting the knight. The pawn defends the knight. The pawn kicks it away. And if the knight moves, the knight will go discovered check and win the queen. Now here we've got a discovered check, which is a double check as well. Not only is it double check, it is mate. The double check, the king must move, so there are no squares the king can move to, so it's mate. So this time we have a mate with the knight. So the knight gives check. The rook pins the pawn to the king, so the pawn can't take the knight. The king can't slip out, so it's mate. Here's a similar one. It's the same by symmetry, so that this time the knight moves in the other direction, and again it's mate because of the pin on the E file. So now we've got the two ideas combined. So white starts off with a knight sacrifice. Black must take, that's the only move. Now we have the double mate with the bishop. So it's quite a pretty one. Now we've got a pawn in the way, blocking our file. However, the pawn's got the possibility of taking a pawn and opening up the file. So white starts with a check, which is a knight fork. So white's going to win a rook if black doesn't take it. If he does take it, he will lose the queen to pawn takes pawn discovered check. So here there's an open E file, and what's bad for black is the queen and the bishop stop the king moving, so the king can't move anywhere. There's black pieces everywhere, and the pawn on d6 defends this square. So after the check, black has nothing better than moving the bishop in the way, losing the bishop to the pawn. So in this case, white launches an attack. The pawn, he drives the pawn up, driving the bishop away. Now after the queen check on the file, because the king cannot move, black has to move a piece in the way somehow and lose material. Okay, so here's a little trick worth knowing. What white can do in this position is, he's in a pin, but a good way to defend it is to castle, and then if queen takes knight, we've got the rook pin. Okay, so white castles, queen takes the knight, and now the rook pins the queen to the king. So white indirectly defended the knight by castling. It's a trick worth remembering. So that's the end of the section. So that was just some of the tricks that can happen on the open E file. Okay, so yep, there's plenty of other opening traps to look at. So thank you for watching.